You alright lads, this is the Geordie Jedi doing my next game review. Mass Effect 2, a game that has aged incredibly well. It's 4 years later now. It was released in 2010 and everything about it is up to today's standard. It would still be a top seller by today. If it were released, I don't know, tomorrow, for example. It would still be a top seller, and that's an amazing achievement from BioWare. That 4 years later a game could still be as good as when it was 4 years into the future. So brilliant. In this case they've done incredibly well, even though the perhaps do get a lot of stick, especially these days. However, we want graphics. They've improved massively since Mass Effect 1, specifically the faces and the armour. You know, everything looked non-detailed. There wasn't much, you know, it was just one colour. There wasn't much scarring or anything like that. Mass Effect 2 improved that dramatically. You know, a slight cut on the armour, you could tell, you could easily see it. It looked real. So, you know, and then compared to today's standards, again, it wouldn't look out of place. You wouldn't say, oh, it's got bad graphics. You'd say maybe it has average graphics, but when you consider it's 4 years and also with next gen consoles as well, you know, you can't argue massively with saying it's average graphics. That's a brilliant result for them. Gameplay, fighting is a bit more Gears of War, which is preferable. You know, you don't want a 2 Gears of War when it's just cover to cover and, you know, grenades and being lucky and just moving slowly up the map. But you also don't want it to be like Mass Effect 1, which was a bit loose. It was a bit erratic, shall we say. You want a good mixture of both. Mass Effect 2 does that. You know, you can go cover to cover if you really want to. It takes time, but it's your choice. Or you can move up drastically, get into cover, kill some enemies, then move up drastically again. It's brilliant. It's got the perfect balance between Gears of War and Mass Effect 1. So, you know, cool. Brilliant result. RPG style, obviously, you know, the story, again, perfect. It flows a lot better when you're talking to someone. It makes a little bit more sense than Mass Effect 1 did, especially with the romances. I mean, in this case, you know, you can romance Tali, which was a bit of a shame in the first one, because I wanted to see what the story would be like if you romanced her from the first one and then straight through to the third one, for example. But that was an unfortunate thing, but they've included it in Mass Effect 2. They've solved the problem. Then in the story itself, you know, you're fighting the collectors who you're told are like apparently work for the Reapers, which is better than the first one, because apart from Saren and perhaps Sovereign, you know, it was just Geth. There was nothing spectacular about them. There was nothing massively different. Collectors, on the other hand, if you see them, you'll understand what I mean. You know, you get a slight sense of almost disgust from the collectors because of the way they look, which is perhaps a bit superficial, but you know, eventually you find out something amazing about them. Then you have Harbinger, who has a bit of a face to it. I mean, it's still not as good as Saren. What would have been perfect is Saren in control of the army of collectors. That would be, well, Sovereign in control of Saren in control of an army of collectors. You know, that would be outstanding. That would be just the perfect boss to fight. You know, perfect enemy, but you know, you can't have it both ways, it seems. Then the main things that I've missed out, the Mako, which is a real shame. You know, everybody loved the Mako. If a Mako was a sacrifice to get this game, then fair enough, I'd accept that, but it wouldn't have taken long. For me personally, I didn't like going to planets and searching for materials in the method that they chose. I prefer Mass Effect 3's version, which is, you know, you just go to a planet and you find maybe 1 or 2 things mostly one. You find it and then that's you're done, you know, you're way off planet. However, in Mass Effect 2 you have to repeatedly search and up and down. It's better than if it wasn't there at all, but Mass Effect 3 did it a bit more right in that case. A lot of people missed the sort of amount of weapons and customization which you could get in Mass Effect 1 compared to Mass Effect 2. People missed that. Personally, I liked a bit of in between, because I didn't like, you know, all my weapons would build up in it and I'd end up missing out because I've kept forgetting to sell the weapons as soon as it got to 150. So I'd like a balance in between the two. But overall, 10 out of 10 by their standards and about 9 out of 10 by today's standards. An outstanding game. If you haven't got it, get it. If you haven't got Mass Effect 1, get that one first, just to be on the safe side. You can get them cheap, you can get them for, you know, £5. Maybe even less in Mass Effect 1's case. I got this for £5. So, anyways, it's been the Geordie Jedi. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want. May the Force be with you.